Hey everybody, lately I've been documenting sites in the United States that are pre-Columbus in age, at least 500 years old or older. And I've been trying to document as many of these sites as possible, but I need to stop. My map is running out. This is a map of the United States and sites that are at least 500 years old. And this might represent about 60-70% of the sites I have documented. I notice some are not on here, but this will just give you an idea of places in the United States that are older than 500 years old, in other words, before Christopher Columbus, that there wasn't just human habitation, but there was cultural activity, cities were being built, there was astronomy going on, there was spirituality going on, so these were definitely civilizations with culture involved in them. But you see here in the western United States, I have done some videos lately on Mesa Verde, Chaco Canyon. I've done videos on the Blythe and Talios here down in Southern California. I've done videos on the Mystery Walls up by San Francisco. And in northwestern Nevada, there is a site here, Lake Winnemucca, which is as old as Göbekli Tepe, but you don't hear very much about it, but it is as old as Göbekli Tepe, going back maybe about 10,000 years. And there are other sites in Nevada around Las Vegas. We have the Valley of Fire and Red Rock Canyon where there's petroglyphs. Of course, out in Arizona, we have the Grand Canyon where there was that strange episode where the Smithsonian came out to take some artifacts of some kind that were found out in the Grand Canyon. That is still a story I'm looking into, but there seems to be some kind of validity behind it. And this is the Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde area, and there is places called Hovenweep and White House that are just like Chaco Canyon and Mesa Verde, that have ancient sites, ruined cities obviously built. And south of Chaco Canyon there is a place called Blue Jay, which I believe was found by a guy flying a drone over. But I just want to show you one thing here. When I was peeking around this area, this is a site where I found some ancient ruins. And here you see just a couple, or just one area of these ancient ruins. But why did people build in this area? Well, just like the Egyptians and the Mayans, the birds were their links to the gods. And in this cliff face here, we have this, which is called Owl Eye Mesa. And I believe that held some significance to the Native Americans who were building in this area, the ancestral Puebloans or the Anasazi. And I believe that is exactly why they built in this area, because of these owl eyes in the cliff face. Owls or birds were their links to the gods, but I just thought that was pretty cool. I thought I'd show you that. But we've got ruins of settlement and sophisticated cities all the way through the United States. Once again, this is about 60 or 65% of the places I have mapped all the way up to the Minnesota border. We have ancient petroglyphs up in the Boundary Waters. We have Indian Mounds Park in St. Paul, Minnesota. We have the Kensington Runestone being found up here. We have a place called the Jeffers Petroglyphs, which was a place of pilgrimage for Native Americans. And it is just out in the middle of nowhere. And also in Minnesota, we have a place called Pipestone. That was a place of importance. Native Americans from the upper Midwest got supplies and rocks here to work with as far as making ornaments and pipes and things with that. That is the area. And there's also petroglyphs found in Pipestone. This was a very important site. In the Dakotas, South and North Dakota, there is plenty of ancient sites, and I do not have a lot of them marked, but definitely there was these important sites there. In Iowa, we have a place called Effigy Mound State Park where natives carved animal figures into the bluffs above the Mississippi, and that is located right here in Iowa. But I can't take you into all these sites. I'm never going to get through this video. But of course, a little farther south, we have the granddaddy of them all in America, and it's located right in the heart of America, and that's Cahokia. And I will leave a link for some of these, but ancient St. Louis used to be called Mound City, and that is because the massive city of Cahokia, which part of it remains, the main part of it, and of course highlighted in Cahokia is this large earthen pyramid. Its base is almost as large as the Great Pyramid. It would have taken incredible labor force to build this using bucketfuls of mound or earth material. That's how they brought it in from miles around this area, different materials to build what is actually a complex pyramid structure. We've got places in southern Illinois that I really wasn't even familiar with, and I just want to show you one of those sites here, but that it is called Kincaid Mounds. And this is right, I believe, where two rivers meet, the Ohio, Mississippi. Or no, I'm sorry. I will just say this is along a river, but here you see these ancient, large earthen pyramids called mounds. But this is called Kincaid's Mounds, not too far from Cahokia. And near this is a place called the Wycliffe Mounds. There's a place called the Franklin Mounds, Angel Mounds, and there's mounds all up and down the Mississippi. In Georgia here, we have a place called Etowah, and this is one of the more impressive mound ancient cities. This is in Georgia. And if I can bring you into this site and show you what it looks like. But once again, this pyramid looks like the pyramid at Cahokia and a little bit like the one at Poverty Point, but would have taken an incredible effort to build these just using earthen materials, different earthen materials. But this is called Etowah in Georgia. And also in Georgia, I think, is one of the more fascinating sites, and it is my theory, or I believe it's a good possibility, that the Mayans came north when there was a pretty drastic warming period about 1,000 years ago. But this is a place called Brasstown Bald, and research up here has determined that this is an ancient Mayan city. At least that is one theory, and I've looked into it, and it's pretty good. But obviously we have some ancient ruins up here. There has been a snake effigy found, an ancient structure like a pyramid found, but this is believed to be an ancient lost Mayan city that the Spanish look for, according to some theories, and I think they're pretty valid. But this is Brasstown Bald, and possibly an ancient Mayan city in northern Georgia. My computer's working a little slow here, but down in southern Louisiana, we have some really confounding sites, and namely how old they are. These are maybe 4,000 to 5,000 years old, and this site here is called Poverty Point, and there is an ancient earthen pyramid here. And this is what it looks like. It looks like the one at Etowah and Cahokia. Would have taken a massive effort. This was a Had to be an ancient, sophisticated civilization to build this. They had to have some organization. And here you see a circular tiered, what I believe is a sun temple. Before flooding kind of took away half of it, but this is called Poverty Point. This is one of the oldest sites in the United States. And near this, we have a place called Watson Brake that is also very ancient, but in a place called Natchez Mound. But these sites are scattered and all the way throughout the United States. In the Northeast, I really haven't gotten around to marking a lot of ancient sites. A lot of these are a little bit controversial, but there's just a few of them that I've marked, and one of them I think is pretty fascinating. It is called America's Stonehenge. There is alignments built into this on the solstices and equinoxes, but if you get a view of America's Stonehenge, and I'm sure you have seen a few shows on this, and this has been written about in books and TV shows back decades, but when you look at this from overhead, this just gives me the impression of being very old, and it just seems like, you know, the trees and the undergrowth is just covering up this site gradually. But this has the looks of being something ancient and something of a sun temple. And here are a few of the stones used. And this just hints of being a very, very ancient. But this is just a brief tour of these ancient sites around the United States. I can't make a video on each one individually or I'll never get through this. There's other stuff I want to look into. But Columbus discovered America in 1492. That's a crap that your government has been putting in their historical records and teaching the people of America, and that is total bullshit. This is pre-Columbus sites in America that had sophistication, civilization, and culture, and they are massive. They are from one shore to the other. There are a lot of sites that haven't been marked, but these are sites that I have pretty much confirmed to have activity before Columbus. But once again, these sites are scattered from one coast to the other. These are maybe 60% of the ones I have documented. I didn't save some of them properly. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to computers. But we have ancient pyramids that would have been incredibly difficult to build. It would have taken sophistication by a sophisticated culture. We have ruins that we have no idea who made them or the origin of them. We have lines running out of Chaco Canyon that run across the earth for many miles, just like the Nazca lines in Peru. We have astronomy. We have sophistication. We have spirituality. We have a whole bunch of things going on here in the ancient United States that's pre-Columbus. The standard model of history is highly inadequate. It's not all wrong. There are parts of it that is right, but the fact that Christopher Columbus is the one that discovered America, well, that's pretty sad. That should be an insult to anybody's intelligence that has an ounce of brains. But I just hope you thought this was interesting. I need to do this video before space on my map ran out on Google Earth here. But this is pre-Columbus America. Sites that had cities, culture, sophistication. And did you hear the one about Columbus, that he discovered America?